Chapter 270, 9 Spirits Beast King's Shadow. This chapter is updated by novels.pl. The internal student knelt on the ground instantly and kowtowed to Kulin again and again. Elder Brother Ku, if you have no further instructions I'll leave. Kulin stood proudly with an expression in her eyes that said, you can go. The internal student accepted this discharge and scrambled away. Zhang Yuochen looked at the internal student, shook his head and sighed. To have entered the internal academy, you must have great talent. It's a pity that you don't have a strong will. Your future in the world of martial arts does not look bright. Standing in the crowd, the internal student heard Zhang Yuochen's words. He said to himself, you are the prince consort of Cayenne's Yui Commandery and Yunwu Commandery backs you. You are certainly not afraid of Kulin. But I have nothing, and with Kulin's ability, he can kill me with one finger. How can I fight with him? When I become stronger in the future, I will certainly avenge today's humiliation. On the path of practicing martial arts, how can you survive if you don't know when to bend? Everyone had a way of doing things that he or she thought was right. You thought others were foolish, perhaps others thought you were foolish. In the distance, a group of young beautifully dressed female students walked toward the Merit Tower. Chen Xie walked among them with her delicate face and a perfect figure. She looked dazzling. Like a crane standing among chickens, she attracted everyone's attention. There were other beautiful and talented students, but they were nothing compared to her. Who's arguing up ahead? She asked. A noble 20-something female student smiled. It is said to be Kulin and Zhang Yuochen. Zhang Yuochen? Kulin? Why are they fighting? Chen Xie was surprised. She had never heard the two of them disagree. It's all because of you. You know that Kulin has been pursuing you. If you had agreed earlier, would he make things difficult for Zhang Yuochen? Although Kulin is tough, Zhang Yuochen is not someone to mess with. Apparently, he has killed several martial arts masters in the Heaven Realm. He is quite powerful. It's possible he could defeat Kulin. I'm kind of expecting them to fight. I wonder who is more powerful. Chen Xie smiled slightly. You're all so anxious to see the world in disorder. Kulin was 32 when he reached the completion of the Earth Realm 5 years ago. He is a 3-realm fighting genius and has attained perfection in his fighting experience and application of martial technique. Zhang Yuochen is only 18 years old. Even if his cultivation is roughly the same as Kulin, there would certainly be a gap when they actually fight. Chen Xie walked over. She decided to help Zhang Yuochen out of his predicament. Chen Xie believed that Zhang Yuochen had greater potential than Kulin. Even if he was no match for Kulin now, he would definitely exceed him in the future. And Zhang Yuochen was her brother-in-law, wasn't he? Kulin, you are already a top-ranking warrior on the Earth Board. And yet you're making things difficult for a junior fellow apprentice who just got into the internal academy. Can't you learn from the eldest brother and be more broad-minded? Chen Xie said. Kulin saw Chen Xie supporting Zhang Yuochen and felt more unpleasant. But he didn't want Chen Xie to think he was narrow-minded, so he smiled. Junior sister apprentice Xie, you misunderstood. I just heard that junior fellow apprentice killed the young lord of Poisonous Spider Club. I have admiration for you and want to compare notes with you. I don't expect that you are so proud that you don't care to communicate with me about the martial arts. Chen Xie frowned and asked, is that true? Of course, I sincerely want to communicate with him. Chen Xie looked at Zhang Yuochen asking for his opinion. Zhang Yuochen didn't bother to argue. Well, since elder brother Ku wants to exchange views, I certainly can't refuse. Kulin was happy with this response. Junior fellow apprentice, you are straightforward. Don't push too hard. If someone deliberately injures another, I will certainly report it to the law-enforcing presbyter, Chen Xie said coldly, glaring at Kulin. Don't worry, I have a sense of propriety. Kulin smiled. Zhang Yuochen really dares to fight with elder brother Ku and doesn't weigh his strength. I estimate that there will be some injuries later. It's not possible. Senior sister apprentice Chen just said that no one can hurt others deliberately. Hey, if Kulin accidentally hurt Zhang Yuochen, does that count as hurting others deliberately? I see. The internal students backed away one after another and stood more than 30 meters away. Kulin kicked out both legs, and raised his arms, commencing his form. He smiled. If I have any imperfections, I hope you can teach me. Zhang Yuochen nodded slightly. He deserved to be called a master on the Earthboard. His cultivation had reached the completion realm without a bug. Elder Brother Ku's commencing form is called stand straight like a pine. Both his feet are like pine trees in the ground, and both his arms are like pine branches flowing in the wind. Just this one commencing form is enough for an ordinary warrior to practice for a lifetime. Jiang Yuochen didn't have a commencing form. He just stood there casually. 9 Spirits Beast King's Shadow. The third move, Tiger King Cutting Corpse. Kulin was like a tiger as he lunged at Jiang Yuochen. Golden genuine chi rushed out from his body and formed into a giant shadow of a golden tiger. It seemed that he and the Tiger King were integrated into one. He cut out one palm and the stone slabs under Jiang Yuochen's feet were smashed to pieces. Jiang Yuochen flew out and dropped 10 meters away. 9 Spirits Beast King's Shadow. The seventh move, Ape King Pounding the Earth. Kulin folded his hands and his genuine chi morphed into a giant ape-like shape that attacked towards Jiang Yuochen. 9 Spirits Beast King's Shadow is a top move among the mid-class spiritual stage martial techniques. It is very hard to practice. Elder Brother Ku has practiced the seventh move, which is very impressive. I estimate there is more than that. Don't you see? Elder Brother Ku's move has not ended. Maybe he has practiced the eighth move successfully. Jiang Yuochen moved his feet sideways, and then he was several meters away, ducking Kulin's attack again. Jiang Yuochen had dodged twice, which made Kulin very angry. He said coldly, Jiang Yuochen, do you only know how to run away? If you have the ability, fight with me face to face. Okay. I will confront you. If you can force me to retreat one more step, I am a loser. Jiang Yuochen said. Arrogant. 9 Spirits Beast King's Shadow. The eighth move, Kilin King Carrying a Mountain. Kulin's genuine chi condensed into a Kilin King. It was very ferocious. Dragon shape and elephant shadow. Jiang Yuochen struck out both hands. His genuine chi rushed to his arms to form an elephant palm print and a dragon claw print. Boom. Kulin flew backward and dropped to the ground awkwardly. Both his legs bent, and he almost fell over. Jiang Yuochen stood where he was without moving. He looked calm. One could see the superior and the inferior. The internal students outside the Merit Tower seemed to be suffocating. They looked at Jiang Yuochen in surprise. Am I seeing this right? Jiang Yuochen just defeated Elder Brother Ku. Does he already have the strength to be on the Earthboard? No wonder he could kill the Black Market Masters. It's impressive. I estimate that he has the strength to be in the top 10,000 on the Earthboard. Chen Xi looked at Jiang Yuochen in surprise. A strange light glowed in her eyes. Jiang Yuochen reached the Earth realm less than half a year ago, and he can already defeat Kulin. That's very impressive. No wonder cousin got engaged to him. I haven't lost. Kulin uttered a loud cry. Genuine chi gushed out from his body forming a vision of heaven and earth. Golden light more than 300 meters long. 9 Spirits Beast King's Shadow. The ninth move, Dragon King Rushing into Sky. Oh woo. His genuine chi condensed into a giant dragon that wrapped around his body. He rushed to the sky and stretched out one palm to hit Jiang Yuochen. The palm turned into a dragon claw. Kulin has practiced the 9 Spirits Beast King's Shadow successfully. He must have reached the success realm. There were lots of exclamations coming from all around. Warriors in the Earth realm who could succeed in practicing mid-class spiritual stage martial techniques were quite amazing. It took too much time. Pursuing the martial technique intentionally would slow down overall martial art improvements. Jiang Yuochen, whose martial technique was in the Earth realm, had succeeded in practicing the Shadow of the Royal Wind Dragon, a superior class spiritual stage technique. He had the aid of practicing experience from his last lifetime and powerful spiritual power. An internal student said, Elder Brother Ku is a top talent. He started to practice the 9 Spirits Beast King's Shadow 5 years ago. He must practice mid-class spiritual stage martial techniques. Within 5 years, he succeeded in practicing them. He deserves to be a 3-realm fighting genius. If Elder Brother Ku has succeeded in practicing the 9 Spirits Beast King's Shadow, his strength must have improved greatly. It's enough to reach 3.5 realm. Even compared to the eldest brother, he is not much weaker. With Elder Brother Ku's strength, he could reach the top 10,000 on the Earthboard. Jiang Yuochen looked serious. He regulated his genuine chi and unleashed 6 palms in a row. With the palm forces overlapping, He could explode 6 times more attack power. 9 folds of the elephant power. Krillin spat out a mouthful blood and flew into the sky. He fell to the ground with a bang. Zhang Yuochen stood where he was and stared at Krillin. You have achieved 9 spirits Beast King's shadow. Actually, it didn't expose the power of the completion. Do you know the reason why? Why? Krillin was half kneeling with his hand supporting him on the ground. He stood up and clenched his teeth with his eyes fixed on Zhang Yuochen. How could Zhang Yuochen know better than him about the 9 spirits Beast King's shadow?